What's up, everybody? Welcome to Live. I'm DJ Anthony. It's Magnus, PhD, with two friends. We're not giving medical advice. Always check with healthcare professionals. Okay, listen, folks. Today's topics: the power and the health of having grandparents, aunts and uncles, but grandparents, how they can make our lives healthier. And Magnus, vitamins. Magnus, what do you think of vitamins? Do you take a multivitamin or a vitamin or no?
At right now, I don't. I'm more like I see multivitamin as kind of a shotgun approach that you like bombard your body with whatever, and a lot of multivitamins are not as good as they say they are.
Right. You
So
probably
what I
don't
mean,
absorb a lot of the stuff.
yeah, and also like a lot of it is the cheapest version of whatever they're trying to get in, and so for a lot of people it becomes expensive urine.
Yeah.
And but in some cases, and like I've been there myself, sometimes it's good to just like uh, find a good solid multivitamin and go with it. Like you can do that for a couple of months or so just to make sure. But of course, I mean, you're trying to get as much nutrients out of your whole
Yeah.
foods as
Yeah.
possible.
Yeah. Do
The,
your research, folks. I
yeah,
guess. Yeah.
the problem nowadays is that a lot of food, like if you go back 100 years ago, they were way more nutrient rich because we did not have this like farm industry like we have today, with a lot of uh, giant corporations
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
comes
Yeah.
in and of course we can go in with a discussion about GMO and things like that, but we
Right.
don't have to today. Anyway, we've been talking about that. So if you're interested about our GMO take, go back
We
and
have
find the
that already
episode we
done, yeah,
talk about it.
in the archives. Okay, so now
Yeah.
let's talk about grandparents. It was funny. Last night I was thinking,
What is your take? Multivitamins.
yeah, I agree with you. I, excuse me, I get so emotional when I think of vitamins. No, so yeah, I think I agree with you. I think most of it's pissed away. I think you would have to do the research to find out which vitamin or multivitamin can withstand the stomach acid and the filtering of the body to get that proper nutrients into your blood. You're right. So I don't take vitamins now. I'm not opposed to them. I do take them on and off. I will say when I'm feeling a little under the weather, I'll take like what do they call that? Ester C or Coldies, like a vitamin C, B12
Yep.
complex boost.
Yep.
I don't know if it does anything. Who the hell knows? But you know what? If it makes me feel better, I'll take. But yeah, I don't take multivitamins, and I agree with what you're saying. We want to try to get the vitamins from our foods. So anyways.
And then if you're deficient in something, like do go get your blood tested, find out what you're actually lacking, and then
Right.
focus on eating that instead. I
Right.
mean, and again, like if you had a surgery or you have an injury, things like that, extra vitamin C will be helpful because that actually helps building muscle tissue, and holding muscle tissue together. That's what I did when I had surgery, for instance, on my arm. I boosted with extra vitamin C and had a pretty good like recovery too. And I think like it helps out, and also like the placebo effect that we've been talking about all the time
Well, that's
is
fine.
that yeah,
It makes you
no,
feel better.
it works. So yeah,
All
that's
right.
yeah. I mean, we basically have the same
Yeah,
philosophy
yeah,
there.
yeah. That's why I have you on the show, Magnus. I don't want
Oh,
anybody to
but of course.
That's right. So, all right. So let's talk about grandparents. So yesterday is funny. I was just thinking to myself, wow, I owe my grandparents so much. I mean, and they're no longer with us. May they rest in peace. But I said, wow, growing up, my grandparents, I mean, literally fed me and my brothers, my family. They gave us my mother and father money all the time to help take care of us. And I was like, well, how instrumental they were in really keeping my family, me, healthy,
Yep.
because my mother and father needed a lot of help, and my grandparents, my mother's parents, my father's an orphan, so he doesn't have any parents. So when I say grandparents, I'm talking about my mother's side, my Italian grandparents, my nonna, nonno, and Italian. Anyways, they really like kept us healthy,
Yeah.
and I was like, wow. And so I said, I wonder what other people think of their and by the way, like grandparents babysit the kids, or grandparents give money to so many grandparents do so much, to help their families and keep their families healthy and strong. Now, Magnus, did you have grandparents in your life growing up or no?
Oh yeah, I had both my dads and my moms. Unfortunately, my father's father passed away fairly early. I think I was around 5 when that happened, so I did not have a close connection to him. But my dad's mom, she was the one that hung in the longest too. So she's the last one that passed away. But looking at it, she was 96 years old, and yeah, she was going hardcore all the way, like to her last breath. Basically,
That's awesome.
she was doing a lot of, she got into to art later on in life, and was doing paintings and things like that. So
It's a lot.
really really cool. My mom's parents, they phenomenal. They have had a huge impact on me, who I am as a person, growing up, things like that. Very positive. I spend a lot of time with them, especially during summertime, when we were on our summer break from school. My mom and dad basically shipped me out to their kind of cabin out in the archipelago, about an hour and a half away from Stockholm, and I spend like all summer there. Like running, like being out in the water, going out hiking in the
Right.
forest. So yeah, and eating good food. So I mean, huge influence on me.
Yeah, my grandparents too. I mean, this is my grandparents did not own a microwave. Everything was made fresh, and that they didn't teach me explicitly, but they taught me in an ancillary way, like by just showing me, like this is how we eat,
Yeah,
healthy. We make our own sauce, or we make our own whatever, fresh salads and fish and um,
baking own bread and and
right,
and
like there was
cookies and
no
buns and all that.
there was no microwave. There was no very little fast food once in a blue moon. But so yeah, so they showed us how to be healthy. Also, my grandparents had a lot of friends, and that when you're a child, you see, oh wow, like that's how it should be. Like you learn without them teaching you explicitly, but you learn again in a passive way, like okay, friends matter, and going to church every Sunday, like that's good for your mind. And so yeah, my grandparents were very instrumental. But my grandparents, they didn't smoke, they didn't drink really, maybe on New Year's had a little drink, but so all the things that they did, and I think I speak for your grandparents too, like they teach us in a roundabout way, like to yeah, like my grandfather always walked,
Yeah,
so I always kind of noticed that. So I was like, oh, so yeah, my grandparents were, oh, I mean, nothing's perfect. I will say this. What my grandparents taught me in their past now in their death was like, they were really big into pasta and bread. And that was really one of their downfalls because that gave them type 2 diabetes. So looking back, I see that fault. And actually they're helping me from the afterlife because I'm like, okay, that's why my grandparents got diabetes. So now I'm not going to make that mistake. My
yeah,
grandparents didn't know any better, but now I know better because there's the internet. There's, I'm interested in my health more. So my grandparents, there was no internet. There was no, I mean, they could have went to the library, but it was a different time, different era. But they lived to their 90s, both of them. And so, like you said, so yeah, I learned like that. I mean, I'm assuming you learned very similar. Like,
yeah. I mean, just the wisdom that they have, and also like you basically got a little bit of a looking glass into a different generation, a
right,
different time. Like my grandpa told me about, like, living through
depression.
world wars and things like that, like, and everything like that, and also seeing how Stockholm grew, and industrialization, and a lot of things that he told me about. And I also, like, he was also a very active person, like out running in the morning, and then like you said, walking or biking
Yeah,
everywhere. He had his car that he took, like, that was his gem too, that he took very, like, care of. But he also, like, always, like, on the move and doing things, and being a busy bee, like out in the garden and fixing that and chopping wood and
right.
things like that.
Yeah,
So yeah, I mean, that, it definitely rubs off when you're around them, and see how they live their life, and a lot of the good things. And luckily, like, my grandma, she cooked a lot and
right.
baked
So,
and everything like that. So
so
everything,
important.
like, a lot of it like you do everything at the house by
Right.
yourself.
Yeah. And it's funny because when you look at it too, it's not that our grandparents had some magic wand or they're not chemists. It was just very simple, like
Yeah.
don't eat processed shit. Eat your vegetables and your fruits and they didn't have, like I said, they didn't own a microwave. So like,
and,
yeah,
and and a lot of like looking at it back from like they didn't have fast food like growing up, for instance, in
no, not our
Sweden.
grandparents, no.
That's something that came in late. Same thing, microwaves was something that came in later on, something
Yeah.
that they
Matter of fact,
never
I didn't have a
started using.
microwave in my family. I did not have I did not have a microwave growing up. So either. So we had a toaster, but
Yeah, I
but
didn't have a microwave for a long time when I was living in back home before I moved too, because like I really didn't need it. And also like when you're like single, you also have a lot. For me it was like, oh, like you prepare everything, like everything is done, you don't really need microwave. And I'm like, I steamed cooked a lot, still do steam cook a lot of food and heat it up that way too.
yeah,
So you can live life without a microwave if you just like, it's a little bit of planning. I understand like when you have a family, kids, things like that, you want things to go fast, it's convenient.
yeah,
But yeah, I mean, you can definitely do without a microwave if you don't want to,
yeah, yeah.
or
No,
if you want to, just to say.
yeah, no, 100%. Yeah, so that's what I thought. It's like, wow, grandparents are so important to us. And like I said, not only the food, but helping our lives. How many times my grandparents pay for me and my brother's, bills for whatever it may
Yeah.
be, because or babysat us, or so yeah, grandparents are such an integral part of our. Excuse me, bro. That's another show. This damn cough. I'm on the tail end of it. It's been week 3 now, but anyway, it was
You're
much.
doing good.
It was much worse though, but now
Yeah.
it's like, anyways, but yeah, my grandparents, again, instrumental, like so many grandparents out there, and it really goes back to, it's a team effort to keep people healthy and well, and have that them in your lives as a companionship, and their love keeps you healthy too.
Yeah. Also look at it. There's so many cultures still that have generational living. So you have like people live together, and you start to see that. I think that is becoming a little bit more popular nowadays too,
In
because
America,
like
yeah,
like but I think like even, yeah, definitely America, but like looking around the world it becomes more popular,
right,
because it's expensive in housing. I mean, like if you're living in a bigger city or anything like that, it's hard. And also like you said, like strengthening numbers. That's basically that's when we
yeah,
had the lockdown.
yeah.
My wife's parents moved in with us,
Oh no, I
so
remember that. Yeah,
yeah. So but that was great because it was more fun, like interacting. You had 4 people instead of 2 people, makes life so much easier
yeah.
if you're staying together 24/7, because you can do the different things, talk to
Leverage,
different people.
leverage.
So yeah.
Yeah,
And also spreads out, like people are more like relaxed, and it's fun,
right,
like watching movies together, or
right.
playing a board game or something
That's
like that.
assuming you get along. Thank God you got
Yes,
along.
yeah,
Because you get,
we definitely do. So
I
they're
know.
great, great people.
Yeah, there are some families where you unfortunately you can't live with the grandparents or grandparent because it's just. But now my neighbors, I have a few neighbors actually right here where I live, where the grandparents or grandparent is in the house, and that's a
Yeah.
nice thing. So yeah, you see a lot more of it, I think, and it's good if you can do it, and if people can get along, relatively speaking. But anyways,
Yeah.
okay, so that's all I got to say. Magnus, anything you want to add before we wrap this up? How important grandparents are?
Yeah, the grandparents are awesome. At least like my grandparents are awesome, and I owe them so much. And I'm like trying to still keep up a lot of the things that they taught me every single day. And one more thing, share, like, subscribe. That's what we want to add too.
If you love your grandparents, tell them.
Yes, love your grandparents. You should love your grandparents.
Oh,
You should love your parents too. Like hopefully people have awesome grandparents and parents.
yeah, yeah, absolutely. So thank you to all the grandparents out there. All right, folks, don't forget to check back in. A lot of great content come back up. Okay, Magnus, I'm signing us out. 5, 4,
Later,
3, 2,
guys.
1. Bye.